Did you know that FOMO is so prevalent, especially among millennials, that a staggering 69% of them admit to overspending on things they don't necessarily need, just to keep up with their peers and avoid the nagging feeling of missing out? This means that almost 7 out of 10 adults are regularly sacrificing their financial goals due to the fear of being left behind. Welcome to Dollars and Dreams, the podcast designed to empower you to take control of your personal and business finance. You know, the very thought of money and finance can often send chills down your spine and stir up fear of the unknown. But let's change that narrative together. Through this podcast, my goal is to not only to provide you with useful information, but also to inspire and motivate you to take action towards your own financial goals. Let's rewrite your money story together. Happy Thursday and welcome to this week's episode of Dollars and Dreams. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about something that I see more and more with the people that we're working with to get their financial control in place, and it's a thing called FOMO. So, of course, we've all seen it, we've all been a part of it, and at some point we've all felt those urges to buy something that we don't necessarily want or necessarily need, but somebody else has it and they're living the life that you want, or they've got something that you want, and so you feel like you're missing out. And it's very much a part of our makeup as humans that we want other things and things that make our life better. So, of course, you know, we've all found ourselves at times scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, and suddenly we feel that real overwhelming urge to book a spontaneous weekend away or an overseas holiday, even though you're on a tight budget to get control of your money. You feel that real pang of envy because other people are doing things that you want and they are living a life that you're dreaming for yourself. But of course, you know, we never know where other people really are in their life or in their journey of financial freedom. Because, of course, we put on a show for social media. We've all seen those photos, haven't we, on Instagram, where some of the people show what goes on behind the scenes to make that outfit look great or that holiday look great. And so it's something that we're constantly fighting. And it's one of the things that when I'm working with people, I say to them, you've got to forget what other people have. This journey is about your journey. And we all start our journey at a different place. You know, somebody might have been budgeting and saving and reaching their goals for a few years, and you see the fruits of what they've done, and you want what they have, but you want it now. You don't want to work for it. But of course, goal setting, putting budgets in place and doing those sorts of things will get you where you want to go. But sometimes we want it earlier than we should be getting it. And the feelings that we have when we think we're missing out can be quite draining, and it can make you question whether you're doing the right things. But you've got to remember that you're not the only one that is feeling that. We all feel that at times. You know, even me, with all the years that I've worked with money and finances, there's still times that I think to myself, you know, why has that person got that success in their business that I haven't been able to get? Or why do those people have all these followers and yet they don't have all the experience that I have as a financial educator? And that at times bothers me. But when I feel that I'm doing that with myself, I quite often have to pull myself back and go, you know what? Just because that's what they have doesn't mean I can't have it. I just need to keep working. I need to keep building the rapport with my clients and my followers and people that want to learn from me. And, you know, we talk about social media all the time, don't we, that it gives us all these fears in our life, and FOMO, of course, is a fear, but it's always been there. It's just that it's not in your face as much as it is with Instagram and Facebook because, of course, that's 24/7. But, it's always been in the media. I mean, travel shows, that's what they were designed for. And travel shows have been around forever. And what that's trying to do is show you can have all this stuff. You want to be able to travel. You want to come and see all these sites in Europe or in Asia or, the United States. So even travel shows that have been on television since forever, they did the same thing. They were trying to create FOMO because, of course, those travel shows were all sponsored by the travel industry. And so FOMO is nothing new. It's just more in our face. And you'd never get away from it. So it is important to remember that what you see on social media and what you see even in the media isn't the whole story. It's the tip of the iceberg. You don't know what goes on below the water level of these people that are promoting all of these things. I even see it on cooking shows where there's an appliance that I want. I have so many appliances in my kitchen that some of them I've hardly ever used, but I see them on cooking shows and I want them. And there's been times that I've had to talk myself out of buying some of them because some of the appliances are ridiculously expensive for what I want. And I still say to this day that I've had this one appliance that I've always wanted. I've never bought it, and I never bought it because I knew it would not make my life easier because it wasn't big enough to cater for my whole family. Now that my family is getting a little bit older and one child has left home, so I'm only cooking for 4 of us now, it may very well be an appliance that I get somewhere down the track. But, the process that I went through was to tell myself not why I wanted it, but why it wasn't something that I needed at that point in time. I don't say I'll never get that appliance because I am a kitchen appliance person, but it just didn't suit me at the time. And so that's a really important thing that you can do when you feel that fear of FOMO, is not to think about why you want it, because that then just drives the FOMO fear in you, but think about the reasons that that's not suitable for you or your life. If you're seeing something on social media, think about what's gone on behind it. And we've all seen those videos where some of those people show what's behind the scene, the clothes clipped with all the bulldog clips or the angles that they're very good at getting. And I still remember that in the 80s, one of the supermodels put it out to everybody and said, I'm not that person you see when I wake up in the morning, get out of bed or get myself ready for wherever I'm going, because I've had a stylist come in, I've had a makeup artist come in, I've had a hairdresser come in, I've got lighting people, I've got very good camera people to make me look like this supermodel that looks amazing. But when their real life is that they're just an ordinary person. Yes, they have some genetics that the rest of us don't have, and they know how to dress themselves because of their career. But I thought that was a really important thing that this supermodel said, is that, you don't compare what you see in the magazines to what I really am. And you're comparing yourself to something that is completely unrealistic. So let's go through what FOMO actually is, because we all know it stands for the fear of missing out. But what is that fear, and what is the feelings that we have? And it's not always quite obvious. And of course, FOMO is an uneasy feeling that you're missing out on something exciting or an interesting event happening somewhere else. And look, it's often fueled, as I said, by social media. And we tend to compare what they have with what we have. And comparinitis, doesn't matter what it is in your life, is a really bad thing. It doesn't matter whether you're comparing the job that somebody has, or the family, or the relationships, or what they're buying, or their clothes, their shoes, the house, the holidays. It does not matter. You need to remember, comparing where you are to where someone else is always a dangerous game for our mentality and for our happiness. So, of course, people can quite often put on a great show. You don't know, as I said, what's going on behind closed doors. So I've seen people that have the latest gadgets, the cars, the clothes, the holidays. And when I'm working with them, they are drowning in debt. So they put on this show for the public and their family and friends. But behind the walls of their own home, they're struggling to sleep. They're arguing with their spouse. They're doing lots of things because they're drowning in debt. But you don't see that because you don't know what goes on behind closed walls. And as I said, what we see in the real world, in anybody, whether it be your neighbour, your family, or people in the media, people on Instagram and social media, you don't know what is other than what you're being shown. So social media and even just everybody's general life, it can be a movie. We've seen lots of people, and I've seen it here with people that I'm working with. They appear to be a really happy couple that have got it all together. And a couple of weeks later, they're filing for separation and they're going through a divorce because what you saw wasn't the reality of what was their life. And of course, 99% of what is people's real life is what we don't see. So I always say that's like an iceberg. We see the tip of the iceberg, but it's the bit below the water level that is the real life of what it is. And so FOMO can create anxiety and stress because we're constantly worrying about trying to keep up. We're constantly worrying about what we're missing out on. And of course, we have compulsive behaviors that we're trying to buy that because we think if we buy whatever it is that that person has is what's going to make us happy. And of course, it does for a very short period of time. And we know about the happy hormones that we have going around in our brain and through our system when we buy something new or when we have that anticipation that we're going to get something. And so we have that fleeting moment of great feelings of happiness, of elation, but it quickly comes down and we're then looking for the next thing to make us feel good. And of course, FOMO then can create these compulsive behaviors that you're constantly trying to keep up with society's expectation of what you think they're looking for. And that fear of missing out then means that the next big thing comes on. I mean, we've all seen it where we go and buy a pair of shoes or we buy a dress and the next week there's another dress that we like or we see on somebody else. And all of a sudden we're wanting that dress as well because the dress we got last week's now just hanging in the wardrobe or it's no longer the thing that we want. And that is what all good marketers would do. So as I said at the start, FOMO is nothing new. It's always been around. As I said, it's been in every travel show that's ever been on television. And it does give us that real negative self-image because we're trying to compare what we have or what we think we should have to what other people have. And of course, a negative self-image is never a good thing. One, because we don't then go and achieve what we could be achieving because we're constantly thinking we're a failure or that we're not good enough or that people have things that we don't have. But it also creates then a financial strain because we're buying things or doing things to try and keep up with other people. And talking about travel shows, a few years ago, or more than a few now, there is a place that we used to go on holidays, and I've talked about this in other podcasts. We used to have our annual holiday at this little, it was quite a small population beach town. And there was a travel show that came up to do a segment on this location. And I was there watching that being filmed, and it was quite an overcast day. Wasn't a lot of sun out. It was cloudy. And I remember saying to the guy that was filming, why would you film on a day like this? It doesn't show it in its great glory, this location. The creek that they were, so there's a creek that goes out to the ocean, and the creek was, it was really tidal. It was great because you'd get on your little floaty and you'd float down or up, depending on which way the tide was going. And it was always lovely and clean. It was deep in patches, shallow in other patches. And there was a real sandy bank on one side where, it was walked across to the ocean. So kids could play on the sand and have really good areas. And I said, why would you film on a day like this? And the cameraman actually said to me, watch the show in a few weeks' time because it won't look like this. So I tuned in a couple of weeks later, and the location there was not a cloud in the sky. It was beautiful and blue, sunny. The water that was quite dark on the day because it was overcast and cloudy was this beautiful crystal sparkling water. And I remember at the time thinking, all these years I've been watching these travel shows and hadn't realised that what I was seeing still wasn't what was filmed. And it got me thinking at the time, and it was definitely, social media wasn't as big as what it is now. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, how many of us have been fooled about different locations this one was a creek and it was sun and things like that. So it was nothing too bad. But I remember thinking at the time, wonder how many locations have been cleaned up from graffiti, from, just looking awful, to look this spectacular, to make you want to go there. And that was the first time that I realised then that FOMO really existed, because up until then, you'd see these locations, and I had FOMO because I've always wanted to travel. I've always loved travelling. And I'd see these places, and I remember always saying to my husband, I'd love to go there. Let's put that on our next one. And of course, there's lots of places that I haven't seen because I've had this business to run and 3 small children, and travel really wasn't for us. And it still has been quite difficult over those years with having a business that I just can't take off from. So I had FOMO, and I remembered seeing this show on this travel show showing the location that was our holiday every year, and thinking that is how we see it sometimes, but it definitely wasn't the day that they filmed it. And of course, then I started looking, going, every time I've seen travel shows, there's never been coal ships in the background. And of course, I'm from Newcastle, so coal ships on our coastline is always quite a normal scene. I've seen shows that are in other places in Australia where I know they've got cold ports, and there's never been any coal ships on the coastline or on the horizon as we're used to seeing. And it got me really thinking then about what we see and what is reality. So I've actually learnt over the years to not have FOMO, and it is training yourself in your brain. And as I said, the first thing that I do now when I see I want something or would like to have something that somebody else has, or somewhere that I want to go, because it's usually my FOMOs are mostly around travel. But I always remind myself why that is not for me. And it can be because I've got a business. I can't take 6 weeks out of my business to just travel. So for me, counteracting that real FOMO is to think why it doesn't suit me at this point in time. Now, there will be a time when I step back from my career here in this physical office that I have, that I will get to travel. I won't be connected where I need to be here to make sure that my business is ticking over and that my clients are looked after. But for now, that doesn't suit me or my lifestyle. And so when I have that real, oh my God, I want to do that feeling, I just go, you know what? I do want to do that, but it's not for now because. And as soon as you start telling your brain the reasons why you can't or shouldn't have that, then that gets your brain trained to let go of FOMO. And, for some people, it's not around the travel. It's around they want to have the clothes, the shoes, the hair, the makeup. And the way that I work with that is to just think that I don't have that same body shape. I don't have that, whatever it is. Or I'm going to save for it. Put it in your cart and leave your cart if you need to actually do that. Think about it for the next 48 hours and let that endorphins get out of your blood so that you don't feel that you're missing out. And learn to take control of your thoughts, because FOMO is a deeply rooted in our social nature that we have as humans. And we have this desire to connect because humans are all about connection. We want to feel like we're part of the crowd. We don't like to stand out and be different to everybody else. And that is deeply rooted in our entire psyche from, centuries and centuries. Because before, if you were out on your own, you were always going to be challenged. You were always going to find it difficult to survive. And so we still have that in our makeup, that we want to be part of a group. We don't want to stand out from the crowd and be vulnerable. And, modern technology, as I said, has exacerbated that. And social media has exacerbated, because we are constantly being thrown images of how we believe we should look and feel, but also because it makes us feel that connection to somebody that we want to be like. We all see movie stars and singers and, those sorts of people. Or now we're shown the finfluencers or the social media influencers that we think, God, they've got a great life. They just wear fashionable clothes. They jump on planes and, go and sit in resorts and take heaps of photos. But as I said, we don't know what that is like in their real life. So recognizing the triggers and learning how to cope with those triggers is part of what you need to do. So I always say to people, what worked for me was finding out, as I said, why that wasn't for me or why that wasn't for me now. But you may have other ways of dealing with it. Some people will sit down, the people that I've worked with, and they might say to themselves, I don't want that because this thing is more important to me. And I will get people that are struggling to find a way of dealing with this FOMO to do their visualization boards, because when you see what is the most important thing to you, it does make that thing that you're feeling like you want much less important, because you'll go, I can have this if I keep working towards my goal, or I can have this and this will be put back. This will give me stress in my life. This will give me clarity. This will give me real sense of purpose. And so dealing with the psychological and the emotional aspects of FOMO is really important, because, as I said, it taps into those really deep-seated needs for belonging and social connection. You need to remember when you do it that I always say that person is not going to know that you didn't buy what they wanted to try and sell you. The fear of rejection isn't there, because that person or those people that are trying to sell you something don't actually even know whether you have bought it or not. So learning to cope with that psychological side is part of getting over your FOMO fear. And of course, the scarcity mindset is part of what they try to do. You see it on ads on telly where they'll say, hurry up because this buy one, get one free only happens for the first 10 customers. Now, do you know if you were the 10th customer or the 20th customer? Because that's never shown anywhere. And of course, they do that so that you have that sense of urgency, because the sense of urgency is what drives us to make a decision now and not put it in the too hard basket or the I'll think about it basket. And I don't know about you, but I've so often put things in a basket. I'm very much a person that puts things in my shopping cart, and I do leave it for the 48 hours. It's something that I've become accustomed to doing. I do online shopping. I'm not a real go into retail shops and buy things. One, because I don't particularly enjoy that environment. I just don't like the going through racks and pulling things out and hanging them up again. It's not what I do. I would much rather shop online, but I have become very good over the years at putting in my shopping cart and then closing it. I get the emails that come through and say, have you forgotten something? And that's them trying to ignite the FOMO in us, and also the fear that we will miss out. And so I ignore those. I just delete them. I never open them. I have a different email address for my online shopping so that I don't see those emails coming through. And I just go into that one every now and then and clear my, couple of hundred emails, never even opened them. But it's just an email address that I have for my online shopping so that they can't retarget me. So coming up with a strategy is part of you keeping control of that FOMO that you have. And of course, as I said, that scarcity mindset that they will work with. And there's a couple of places that I do the online shopping with. And as soon as you click on, let's say it's a dress, you click on your size and it comes up low stock. What's low stock? Is that 100 dresses, or is it 5 dresses, or is it 2? And then there's another store that I buy from that when you click on it, it'll say only 3 left, or 3 plus left. And when you think about that, what's 3 plus? 3 plus could be 3 plus another 100, but it is there to give you that scarcity mindset so that you think you're going to miss out. And of course, once they, as in the retailers, once they have your email and they see what's in your shopping cart, they will retarget you. And I'm sure you've seen that when you look at stuff or you click on an account on social media, all of a sudden that's all you get exposed to. And that's the algorithm that is tracking your online behavior. And it serves you ads of products and experiences that you've shown an interest in. So that reinforces that you are looking at something. It then gives you that real, hey, look, here's somewhere else that you mightn't have found anything here, but this shop may have it. And so that will give you that FOMO, it gives you that scarcity mindset, and it gives you that real push to buy something. So the financial impacts of FOMO is that I see people spending more than they should. And of course, the easy way, as I said, to counteract that is to put something into your shopping cart, but leave it there for 48 hours. Let those endorphins come out of your blood supply so that you don't feel that real happiness and you see yourself in, looking like whoever it was that got you to where you are. So, I'm only 5'1", 154 centimeters. So I'm never going to look like one of those supermodels in a clothing because they're a completely different size to me. They're a completely different height to me. They're a completely different age group to me. And so when I see somebody in that dress, for a fleeting moment, you picture yourself at 168 centimeters instead of the 154 that I am. I picture myself a size 8 instead of the size that I am. I picture myself with the long, beautiful hair and flawless makeup. But that is a fleeting moment when you put it into your cart and then you leave it there. Because then you come back and you look at that dress or that shirt or whatever it was you put in there. And when the endorphins are out of your system, you see yourself in that dress. And all of a sudden, that plunging neckline or the dress that has the cutouts on the side that you're going to see my less than perfect body in, all of a sudden, once the endorphins are out of your blood supply, you see yourself in that dress, and it's not always as nice a picture. So I then take it out of my shopping cart. And so once the endorphins have gone, I can make an informed decision. Anything to do with the financial situation and people that I work with, I'm always working on making an informed decision. So FOMO can get you into strife with your finances. You are at risk of overspending and then not achieving your goals. So it's important that you work out what is most important to you. Is it the goals that you want to achieve in your life, or is it this thing that you have FOMO about? Now, if it's something like a holiday that you have FOMO about, great, turn it into a goal and start saving and working towards that goal so that you don't go into debt. Don't use money that's not allocated for that holiday to have a holiday or a weekend away before you've done the saving for it. So use that FOMO as a drive to reach your goals, a drive to having what you want so that you live the life that you want to live. And so what I want to finish up this podcast with is just around making sure that FOMO doesn't hijack your goals. It is important, as I said, create a visualization board and put your goals on there to constantly remind you that what you want is so much more important of that fleeting moment to keep up with society. Start taking photos or screenshots of the people on social media that show you the behind the scenes of how they look, not what happened, in social media. So, the bulldog clips, the different angles, the different lighting and all of those sorts of things to remind yourself of what isn't reality. Even you see the morning breakfast show people and they'll have their shirts or their jackets all pulled together with bulldog clips so that they look perfect. And so when you start to look at those things, the FOMO goes because you see reality. FOMO is based on you never looking at the real world. It is based on you wanting what you think reality is. So it is important that you take those photos to remind yourself what you see. Might not be the same thing that you're looking at, but the process is the same. Even catalogues for outdoor furniture. It's always in a beautiful green backyard, beautiful sunlight, sandstone pavers, everything looks glorious. People are sitting there having a beautiful cheese board or a lovely lunch with family and friends and everybody's smiling. That is not reality because the rest of us are in a backyard where there's brown marks where the dogs have been urinating on your grass, or where there's clover or weeds or whatever happening in your grass. You may not live in a vast backyard where you've got the gorgeous pool that they show. You are jumping up and down to get dinner ready. You're not just sitting down enjoying. So reality is not anything that you see in any media form whatsoever. So catalogues that make it look like if you bought this outdoor setting, you can have this perfect world. Don't be fooled by social media and media. They are there to sell to you. That is their only job. So by giving you that this is the dream life, that is not reality. So put yourself in your own situation into what you see, and that will change the way you look at what you want. It's important to remember, as I said, that FOMO can hijack your savings, your goals, your spending, and your financial control. As I said at the start, 69% of millennials say they are overspending because of FOMO, because they want those material possessions and experiences that they see through social media and media, and they want it. Nearly half So 48% of millennials have gone into debt trying to keep up with their peers' lifestyle and their experiences. And, as I always say, you should never go into debt unless it is going to increase your wealth. FOMO spending, though, as I said, isn't just limited to millennials. A significant portion of Gen Zs, so 39%, also report overspending due to FOMO. The average person spends about $600 a year on FOMO-induced purchases. So imagine if you put that $600 per year from when you first start working and have money to spend on things that are FOMO. Imagine if you put that into an investment or into your superannuation or to pay down your debt on your home loan much quicker. The psychological impact can never be underestimated. So 7 out of 10 people experience FOMO regularly, impacting their overall well-being and their own happiness. FOMO is strongly linked to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, especially amongst the younger generations where this has been part of their life. And of course, social media usage is a major contributor to FOMO, as it is constantly exposing us to the highlights that are curated from other people's lives. It is not reality. Remember, tip of the iceberg. And of course, the marketing tactics, be aware of those. So the scarcity marketing tactic is highly effective for FOMO triggers because we think we're going to miss out if we don't do it soon. Scarcity is about telling you there's a limited either life or there's a limited number or there's a limited offer available to you. And that triggers the FOMO because if I don't buy it now, or if I don't do it now, I'm going to miss out. It's going to be gone. You've all heard those ads and you all know that 99% of the time it's not true. I mean, I have seen so many times that, the sale ends Sunday night. Come Monday morning, it's like extended for one more day. Or even in social media, not in marketing courses and everything. So there's one person that I follow, and every time she closes her cart, I get an email the next day to say, do you regret not signing up? I'm opening my cart for one more day, because we made a decision on the Sunday night, for example, that we didn't want to buy that course. And all of a sudden, Sunday morning, you get that email to go, you've missed out. Do you have regrets? Do you do this? Do you do that? I'm opening it up for one more day. Her intention was always to have it open to that Monday night. It was never about closing that cart on a Sunday. But what it did was she closed the cart to create scarcity and to create a need to act now. But then the people that held off and went, I can actually go without, all of a sudden get retargeted the next day. And I would hate to think how many people would buy in that 24 hours. It's a good tactic for anybody that is trying to sell anything, but it is not a good tactic for you. So you need to be aware of what is happening. Doesn't matter whether it's an offer or a course or a product, it is the same tactic. Break it down to the black and white. Why have they opened it? And then this same person always says, I only have a limited number. I'm not taking in more than 440 students to this intake. And you need to sign up now, otherwise, because I close at 440, even if it's before the close date of whatever that Sunday was. And of course, the cart never closes. So all these people that go, only 440 people, because she actually says in it, last intake I took 880 people or 660 people, and it was too many for me to give help to. So this time I'm closing my cart at 440. That would have happened last time 2 weeks before the close date of my course sign up. And so everybody goes, oh wow, if I don't sign up now, I'm going to miss out. And so people will buy Now, do we know whether there was a limit of 440 people into that course? Or does she just say that that is a target to make people have that scarcity mindset? So break this down, look at what is happening, think about this logically, and think about it from the person that's doing it. Why are they doing it? What are they trying to achieve with what they're doing? And that's how I look at this lady's selling tactic that she does, where she says, there's only 440 people into this intake. She does this course 4 times a year. So if you miss this intake, you just do the next one. There is no reason for you to have that scarcity mindset or anything else. But if you look at it from her point of view, why is she doing it? She's trying to get people to take action. She is trying to get people to have that FOMO and that scarcity mindset that they're going to miss out. Because last time, if they'd stopped it at 440 people, the books would have closed 2 weeks before closing date. So it creates that real FOMO tactic in you. So think about that when you're looking at something. Think about the goals that you always have. And remember, social media and media is not what it always is. I'm going to finish up now with one final statistic that is really scary. Over 80% of people feel FOMO after seeing their friends on social media posts about holidays or experiences. Think about that for a minute. 80% of us have FOMO when we see our friends putting photos up on social media. Please don't let that be you. Be that 20% that goes, isn't that a great thing they've done? I'm so happy for them, but it's not for me right now. One other thing that to keep in mind is that women are more likely to experience FOMO than men, because women have this great that we need to fit into a community, because women have that real nurturing drilled into us, and it's always there. And that's not being mean to men or counteracting men, but women are, from genetics, we are part of being part of a group or a community more than men. So if you're a woman, which is, half the population, make sure you come up with your tactics of how you're going to counteract FOMO so that your financial goals, hopes, and dreams are not lost. So that's it for me. Thank you for joining me today. If you know anybody that can get help with anything that I teach, please send them my way. Don't forget to jump over to my website, jenrichardson.co, where you can get all the help that you need in taking control of your own financial future. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now. Remember, the advice shared in Dollars and Dreams is general in nature, and it does not consider your own personal circumstances. Dollars and Dreams is for educational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make investment or financial decisions. If you need more help, please reach out to a financial advisor for tailored personal advice. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. And please leave me a review. Your feedback really helps me to reach other people chasing their money dreams. You can find me over on Facebook and Instagram to connect with me. You will find the link in the bio, or head over to my website at jenrichardson.co, where you will find free content and learning tools.